So you're heading to Jakarta for work. It's a city that's, well, vibrant, relentless, full of opportunities. But also, let's be honest, incredibly challenging to navigate. Figuring out where to stay, how to get around without losing, half your day.
Right.
And even just finding the right place for a business meal can feel a bit overwhelming at first.
Yeah, it really can. Our mission today is basically to cut through that initial overwhelm.
Okay.
We're taking a whole stack of practical knowledge, actually, specifically drawing insights from moveandstay.com. They've been helping business travelers and expats find short-term places, workspaces across Asia for over 25 years now.
Wow, okay. So they know their stuff.
They really do. And we're going to extract the most important nuggets. Think of it as your express lane to feeling properly prepared and, confident for your trip.
I like that.
Yeah.
At Express Lane. So we'll be diving into choosing your base, tackling Jakarta's legendary traffic.
Oh, yeah.
Finding alternative workspaces, exploring the food scene for business, and maybe a bit of pleasure too, and even touching on some local culture.
Definitely.
So for someone listening right now, maybe packing their bags, what are the absolute key takeaways from this guide we should sort of etch into our minds right from the start?
Okay, good question. The guide really boils it down to a few key things. First, Central Jakarta. Usually your best strategic bet for business.
Right.
Second, South Jakarta's got a different feel, more modern, more social.
Okay.
Third, West Jakarta. That's your go-to if budget is, a major factor, but there are trade-offs. Fourth, traffic. It isn't just a factor, it's like the factor. It shapes your whole day.
Yeah, I bet.
And finally, don't forget co-working spaces and cafes. Loads of them, and they can be really useful for productivity.
Okay, let's unpack that first point then. Location. Because where you base yourself in Jakarta, it's not just picking a hotel, is it? It sounds like a major strategic decision. Impacts commute times, food, networking.
Absolutely. Central Jakarta really is the city's undisputed business hub. It puts you right in the thick of it.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, you've got the Sudirman Central Business District, SCBD nearby, major company HQs, government offices, all that. And the hotels there, they're geared up for business travelers, loads of facilities.
But that convenience comes with the catch, right? The guide mentioned the traffic.
Oh, definitely. Be ready for some serious traffic, especially during rush hour. The guide hammers this home. A short trip on the map can easily take an hour, maybe more, when it's busy.
Wow.
But, for quick access to meetings, top-notch business services right there. Central Jakarta, even if it costs a bit more, it often pays off in time saved and, frankly, less stress.
Makes sense. Okay,
Good.
so then shifting south Jakarta, you said it's got a more chilled out vibe.
Yeah, exactly. It's distinctly more modern, maybe a bit trendier. It's really popular if you want a more active social scene after work. Think great restaurants, cool cafes, big shopping centers.
Sounds appealing.
Key areas like Senayan, parts of SCBD are down there too. It's got a lot going for it.
But the crucial thing is, if your main meetings are back in central Jakarta.
Yeah, that's the trade-off. Getting from the south to central Jakarta can be a real pain point, especially during peak times. So yeah, the nightlife might be great, but you've got to factor in that travel time. Seriously.
Okay, good heads up. And then West Jakarta, the budget-friendly option.
Exactly. It's generally more affordable. You'll find a good range of, budget hotels, guest houses. It brings the cost down.
And the interesting thing there, I suppose, is even if it's a bit further out from the main business zones, the guy says it often has decent transport links.
Yeah, often it does. Plus, you get a bit more of a local, authentic feel for the city over there, which honestly can be quite refreshing after a day stuck in meetings.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so location nailed down. Now, the big one. Getting around Jakarta's traffic is legendary, isn't it?
It really is. It's more than just traffic. It's an experience. The guide points out how it massively slows things down, like a 5-kilometer trip taking 45 minutes or more during peak hours.
Oof.
Peak hours being roughly 7 to 10 a.m., and then again 4 to 7 p.m. It fundamentally changes how you plan your day.
So using apps like Google Maps or Waze is pretty much non-negotiable, I guess?
Oh, absolutely. Lifesavers. You need that real-time info. But are there other things? Like specific rules?
Well, the guide does mention the odd-even license plate rule, Ganjil Genap,
Yes.
which restricts cars in certain zones during rush hour based on the last number on their plate. So you can't just hop in any taxi or rideshare if you're heading into one of those zones at the wrong time. You need to be aware of that.
That's a really important detail. Good point. And what about getting from the airport? So Karno had a CGK.
Right, several options there. You've got the official airport taxis Bluebird group is often recommended, reliable.
Okay.
Then the ride-hailing apps, Gojek and Grab, super popular, usually cheaper.
But watch out for surge pricing.
Exactly, especially if you land at a busy time. And then there's the airport train.
Which is fast, right? Avoids the traffic.
Totally avoids the traffic, gets you to the city center quickly, but then you still need to figure out how to get from the train station to your actual hotel or meeting. So factor in that last leg.
Right.
You know, what I found interesting in the source material was the advice about pre-booking a car service.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might cost a bit more,
Yep.
but apparently after a long flight, just knowing someone's there waiting specifically for you,
Yeah.
it can be a huge stress reliever. Buys you peace of mind, you know.
I can definitely see that. Worth considering. And once you're actually in the city, what about public transport? Is it usable?
Increasingly so, yeah. The Trans-Jakarta Bus Rapid Transit, the BRT, it uses dedicated bus lanes.
Which is huge in that traffic.
Massive advantage. It's super cheap too, but it can get really crowded.
Okay.
Then there's the MRT, the Mass Rapid Transit. That's newer, clean, efficient. Goes underground, covers key areas. Great option if it goes where you need to go.
Sounds promising.
And the commuter line, the KRL. That serves the wider Greater Jakarta area, so useful if you're going out to the suburbs. But again, the warning is it gets incredibly packed during peak hours.
Right. So plan ahead, check routes, maybe avoid peak times if possible on public transport too.
Exactly. Okay, so sometimes working from the hotel room just doesn't cut it, does it? You need a change of scene.
Definitely.
And Jakarta seems to have really embraced this idea of alternative workspaces.
Oh, absolutely. The co-working scene there is booming. It's not just about a desk and Wi-Fi anymore either. The guide mentioned some really interesting local features.
Like what?
Like specific quiet zones designed for deep work away from the city buzz, or even wellness corners, kind of a nod to the high-pressure business environment sometimes.
That's interesting. A quiet zone sounds amazing.
Isn't it? But yeah, fundamentally, they offer professional environments, reliable Wi-Fi, printing, meeting rooms, and importantly, chances to network.
And the guide specifically mentioned a place in Kuningan
Ah, yeah, I remember reading that.
with complimentary coffee and amazing city views. That sounds like a serious upgrade from a hotel desk.
Totally. But if you want something a bit more relaxed, maybe for an informal chat or just catching up on email.
Cafes.
Exactly. Jakarta's cafe culture is huge. You're spoiled for choice, and loads of them have decent Wi-Fi.
Good point.
Yeah.
Though it's probably worth remembering some basic cafe etiquette.
Right. Definitely. Like, always buy something, obviously.
Yeah.
Keep the noise down if you're working or on a call.
Right. And don't hog the best table with the power outlet for hours nursing one coffee.
Exactly. Be considerate. It's just about respecting the space.
What about business lounges? Are those a thing?
Yeah, they are. You often find them tucked away in shopping malls or office buildings. They offer quieter, more exclusive feel.
Okay.
Good amenities, usually Wi-Fi, printing, maybe some refreshments. Access is typically through membership, or you can sometimes get a day pass.
So they're good for maybe shorter bursts of focused work. When you don't need a full co-working setup, but need somewhere quiet and professional.
Precisely. A really good middle ground sometimes.
Okay, let's talk food. Because Jakarta apparently has this incredibly diverse food scene. Great for business travelers, right?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. And convenient, too, because many business hotels have really good on-site restaurants.
Saves you having to venture out if you're short on time.
Exactly. They usually offer a mix of international stuff and, importantly, really good Indonesian dishes. Plus, breakfast is often included, which is always a bonus.
Definitely helps start the day right. But stepping outside the hotel, where should people look? You mentioned South Jakarta earlier for its vibe.
Yeah, South Jakarta is definitely a hot spot for trendy restaurants, upscale cafes, that kind of thing. Great for client dinners or just exploring after work.
Good tip.
And a pro tip from the guide. Don't be shy about asking your hotel concierge or staff for recommendations. They often know the best local spots, the hidden gems.
Good call. Leverage that local knowledge. And for quick meetings, back to the cafes.
Yeah, Jakarta's cafe culture is just perfect for that. So many options with reliable Wi-Fi, a relaxed but still professional atmosphere. Ideal for a quick chat or getting some work done between appointments.
But when you're picking one for a meeting, it's not just about the coffee art, is it?
Haha, no, you really need
No.
to think. Is the Wi-Fi actually reliable? Is the noise level okay for a conversation? And is it actually convenient for everyone you're meeting? Location matters.
Good point.
The guide sort of hints that choosing the right place to eat in Jakarta isn't just about food. It can be strategic.
How so?
Well, it can subtly impress a client, give you a much-needed mental break, or even be a way to kind of absorb local business etiquette naturally. It's about making the most of every meal, not just refueling.
That's a really interesting perspective, using dining strategically. I like it. Okay, so you're there for work, but it doesn't mean the whole trip has to be conference rooms and hotels, right?
Absolutely not. I always think exploring a bit of the local culture adds so much value to a business trip. It gives you context.
So what does the guide suggest? Local markets.
Definitely. They're described as just buzzing with life. Not just for shopping, though, you can find amazing stuff like batik fabrics, but for the atmosphere of the local snacks, it's a whole sensory overload in a good way.
And haggling is expected, right? Part of the fun.
Totally part of the experience. Pasar Baru is mentioned as a classic market to check out.
Okay. Any warnings? Street food.
Yeah, just a sensible heads up from the guide. If you're going to try street food, maybe do a little research first, look for busy stalls, ensure things look clean, just to avoid any unexpected issues later.
Sensible advice. What about history? Does Jakarta have much?
Surprisingly rich history, actually. It's easy to miss amidst the modern sprawl, but it's there. The Old Town, Kota Tua, it's got fantastic Dutch colonial architecture. Really worth seeing.
Oh, cool.
And there's the Jakarta History Museum, the Maritime Museum. Great places to understand the city's background, Indonesia's seafaring past.
I always find taking even just an afternoon to do something like that makes the whole trip more memorable.
Me too.
It gets you out of the corporate headspace, gives you a different perspective, plus you come back with better stories than just talking about meetings.
Exactly. And beyond sightseeing, another way to engage is through networking events or conferences.
Good point. Tapping into the local business scene.
Yeah, it can be a great way to meet people, learn about what's happening in your industry locally, maybe even stumble upon new business opportunities you wouldn't find otherwise.
Where do you find out about those?
The source suggests checking sites like Eventbrite or maybe Meetup for local professional groups. See what's on while you're there.
And the classic advice applies, I guess.
Absolutely. Bring plenty of business cards, be ready to chat, make small talk. You never know where those conversations might lead in a place like Jakarta.
Okay, this brings us back to the practicalities. Accommodation. Finding the right place to stay sounds like it can really make or break the trip.
It absolutely can. And Jakarta, as we've said, has tons of options. So let's focus on what matters for business travelers.
Right. Hotels with business facilities.
Yeah.
What are the key things to look for?
It's less about a long checklist and more about priorities. The guide really highlights the best ones consistently offer things like solid business centers, printing, maybe faxing if you still need that,
Maybe.
a range of meeting rooms, and crucially, really reliable high-speed internet. That's non-negotiable these days. And good on-site dining helps a lot for convenience.
Gotcha. Any specific examples that came up in the guide?
Yeah, the Holiday Inn and Suites Jakarta Gajah Mada was mentioned frequently, not just for general amenities, but specifically highlighting its airport shuttle service, which is super useful.
Okay, practical.
And then for a more high-end experience, names like the Wyndham Casablanca Jakarta or the Fairmont Jakarta pop up top-tier facilities, and usually breakfast included as standard.
Right. What about longer stays? A week, a month? Hotel rooms can get a bit cramped.
That's where service apartments really shine. They offer way more space, usually a separate living area, and critically, a kitchen or kitchenette.
Which means you can cook sometimes. Save money on eating out.
Exactly. Big savings potential, plus it just feels more like home, doesn't it? Often they have laundry facilities too, either in the unit or on-site, which is a lifesaver on longer trips.
Definitely. Any examples there?
Swissôtel Living Jakarta Mega Kuningan came up, and Ascot Kuningan Jakarta. Places like that are ideal if you value that independence, that flexibility, and want to avoid the restaurant routine every single night.
Makes total sense for an extended assignment. So we've got luxury, we've got service departments. What about the budget end?
Well, the guide is clear. Jakarta caters to all budgets. But it's a sliding scale, obviously. Luxury means extensive amenities, prime locations, bigger rooms, targeting, high-end travelers.
And budget.
Budget means more basic amenities. The location might be a bit further out or less prime. Rooms are likely smaller, and it's aimed at guests who are really watching their costs. But you can still find decent places. And there are unique boutique hotels, too, if you want character.
Okay. So looking at the guide's FAQ section, anything jump out at you, maybe about typical costs? The source mentioned around £100 a night. midweek, maybe less on weekends.
Yeah, that figure sounds about right for a decent business hotel. But what really stood out in the FAQ for me was how it directly addressed specific business needs.
Like,
Like, if your priority is value, but you still need breakfast included and maybe a gym, it consistently pointed towards hotels like Fave Hotel, LTC Glodok, or that Holiday Inn and Suites again.
okay, practical matches.
Exactly. And same for airport shuttles, those names came up. Then, if you're looking at luxury where breakfast is pretty much a given, you're back to the Wyndham Casablanca, the Fairmont, and also the Merlin Park Hotel was mentioned. It's about matching your specific needs to the right place, not just picking randomly.
That's really helpful. So, okay, wrapping this up, Jakarta. It's clearly a bustling, super dynamic business hub, loads of options for where to stay, where to work, how to eat, a real blend of modern business and deep-rooted tradition. And we've really seen how crucial planning ahead is, haven't we? Especially with that traffic.
Oh, yeah. Planning for traffic is paramount. But also planning your accommodation, maybe scouting out some workspaces. It all helps.
Absolutely.
And if we sort of connect this to the bigger picture, what emerges is that Jakarta, yes, it has its challenges, but with the right prep, understanding its quirks and, being open to engaging with it, it offers a genuinely special and rewarding experience for business travelers.
It's about using these insights not just to be efficient, but maybe to actually enjoy the experience too.
Exactly. Navigate it well, and it's got a lot to offer.
Which kind of raises a final important question for you, our listener, to think about.
Yeah.
Considering Jakarta's intense blend of business demands and this really rich local culture we've touched on, how might intentionally embracing even a short, focused cultural experience, maybe visiting Kota Tua, trying some real local food, how might that actually enhance your professional effectiveness and your overall outlook, not just to Jakarta, but on your next international business trip anywhere?